Statistically, 46% of you are going to agree with me and 54% of you are going to disagree with me. Was Darlington a good race? There's so many factors, so many variables that go into this question. What makes a race good or not? My name is John, the Motorsports Enthusiast. Welcome to my channel, and I'm going to give you my thoughts, my opinions on if I thought this Darlington weekend was a good race. Now, per those statistics, thanks to Jeff Gluck and his Was This a Good Race poll, 24,000 people voted, 46% of them said yes, it was a great race, and 54% said no, it was a bad race. And so I'm on the side of a good race, particularly for a couple reasons. One, I love strategy. Two, I love long runs and seeing the tire fall off whenever that may happen. And three, I like to see how the pit cycles work out and who's going to come out on the front. And obviously, William Byron, my driver, didn't. But even though he led all those laps and didn't win the race, I still thought it was a good race. But here are some reasons why people have said that it's not a good race on the flip side. So number one, people have said there was no passing. Well, I'm going to kind of challenge that because I looked at who started the race in the top 10, where people were in stage 1, stage 2, and the end of the race, and how many of those spots were occupied by the same drivers from the start of the race. So looking at the start of the race and looking at stage 1, 60% of the drivers who finished in the top 10 in stage 1 actually started in the top 10 at the start of the race. Moving on to stage 2, 40% of the drivers who finished in the top 10 in stage 2 started the race in the top 10. And looking at stage 3, exactly 50% of the drivers who started in the top 10 finished in the top 10. And so when looking even at the results and looking at the final running order, there were drivers that were all over the place. Christopher Bell up from 17th, finished in 3rd. Chris Buescher up from 14th, finished in 6th. Ross Chastain up 25th, finished in P7. Looking at Zane Smith up from 16th, or up from 16th, finished in 12th. Daniel Suarez started in 30th, finished in 15th. Ty Dillon started in 29th. Finished in 16th. And on the flip side, you had a driver like Ryan Preece, started in 2nd, finished 26th. Chase Briscoe started in 4th, finished in 28th. So was there passing? Yes, there was passing. Now, the question is, and the statement I go to, and by the way, this is going to be completely off the cuff. I'm going to have no edits, no chops. Were the tires the reason why? A lot of people think that the fall off didn't happen soon enough, but we did see fall off. So I argue this point because at what point is this going to be good enough for fans? We have tires and have had races where there's been no tire fall off. I mean, if you're in F1, look at what happened in Japan. There were drivers that they were saying they could run the whole race on this set of tires, and that was one of the most boring, quote-unquote, races of the season because there was no wheel-to-wheel action. But I'm going to look at this from also a perspective, like I said, of what is good enough when it comes to fall-off. Like, we've seen races where the fall-off has been great. Look at Bristol in the past. I mean, there was way too much fall-off there. Then look at other races where you could go the entire race. I mean, North Wilkesboro was a great example of that last year in the All-Star race where you could just run the same set of tires essentially. So, and there's been other races that have had similar fall-offs to where there was literally no fall-off. So the question becomes, what is good enough when it comes to the tires? Now, I will say, in support of this argument, I think bringing a softer compound so the tires fall off sooner, I can understand that for sure. But once we hit 25, 30 laps, the fall off was pretty severe on these tires. And so that's naturally going to happen at Darlington. So do I think that they could have brought a softer tire? Yes. And so in that case, for sure, that could have been improved. But from a racing perspective, it seemed like these drivers had to run all out the whole time. And from what I was looking at and from the data and the lap times, everybody was pretty much the same, which then affected for the first part of the run, which affected the tail end of the run. And one of the greatest drivers that we saw that was able to save tires and have great long run speed was Ryan Blaney. I mean, I would argue that Ryan Blaney might have been the fastest car all day long, even though William Byron technically got the fastest lap, so technically he ran the fastest time. But over a long period of time, over the long run, Ryan Blaney took that away. On the short run, you could argue that William Byron was that driver. He excelled on the restarts, was able to check out. He had the clean air, which obviously affected that. But overall, no passing was in result, because I have my notes right here. No passing for, a little bit of time in the beginning, I don't think dictates a bad race. Like I said, I'm of the side of I like strategy, I like pit strategy, tire strategy, races that don't have many cautions. And let's talk about that. How many cautions did we have? We had 5 cautions for incident in this race. And just to recall them, the 5 spin on the backstretch, the 77 incident in turn 3, the 35 in the 77 on the front stretch, the 21 in the 45, and then the 23 and the 5. So people who are saying, it was, excuse me, I have something in my eye. People who were saying, okay, and thinking in the mindset of there wasn't much racing action and we want to see cars bang and, wreck and all that fun stuff. Well, 3 of those were because of contact. The 35, the 77, the 21 and the 45, and the 23 and the 5. So there was some contact and there was some decent racing once the front of the field caught the back of the field. So the question is, what do you think? Do you think this was a bad race? Are you on the side of the 54% that think it wasn't a great race? Or are you on the side of the 46% who think it was a good race? Now, again, everybody's going to have different measuring sticks when it comes to whether something's a good race or not. Like I said, I like strategy races. I don't like to see a bunch of cautions back to back to back that just stacks up the field. I like to see the long runs. I like to see who actually has the best car overall, who can be strong on the short run, the long run, who can be strong in the pits and put it all together. And like Tyler Reddick and Ryan Blaney, they definitely were on that side, even as painful as it is as a Byron fan to say, they outsmarted Rudy Fugle and the pit strategy of the 24 to get them out front. And so I think that there was arguments to be made on both sides. Now, am I going to say this is a great race? No. Am I going to say this is a good race? Sure. I'll say it's a decent race. I'll say a decent race because I thought that there was, it was interesting to see the tire fall off on the back end. It was interesting to see that pit strategy play out. Obviously, there were times when the caution came out very inopportunistic. I think that's how you say that. It's been a long day. When it came to drivers that were trying to get back on the lead lap and all those things. Overall, was this the worst race of 2025? According to the Gluck polls, it scored 42 points lower than Vegas, and it was the worst race of the 2025 season, according to this, based off of essentially 20 to 25,000 votes, exactly 26,256 at the time of recording. So overall, it was worse than Martinsville, worse than Daytona, worse than Phoenix, worse than Atlanta, and I'm going in reverse order. Homestead, the Clash, Coda, and Las Vegas, getting an 87th percentile there. Now, the other side of this is looking at these winners and looking at the races. Vegas was ranked the best race out of all of them, had the least amount of votes, but had the unexpected winner of Josh Berry, which I think carried a lot of why that race was a good race. Looking down, you have Coda, number 1, where Mr. Christopher Bell won that race. That is the only time that we're going to go to Coda. That was ranked at an 87 or 86.7 percentile. That it was a good race. Followed by the Clash, where Elliott won, 86. Then it just falls from there. Larson, Homestead, 83%. Good race. Atlanta won with Christopher Bell, 81% race. I thought that was a fantastic race, one of the best races of the season. In the stands, I think that deserves a higher ranking than Vegas. And then you go Phoenix won Daytona Martinsville at a 50%, literally 50-50. And then Darlington a 59 or 45.9, so a 46%. And then a 54.1, so a 41% if you're going to round those numbers. Either way, I thought it was a good race. I'm on the side of that because I prefer those races. That's why I thought this past weekend in F1, while there wasn't a lot of wheel-to-wheel action, I like seeing how these cars can perform on the short run, the long run, and who has the best skill when it comes to tire saving and who can make up their way through the field. And so I thought it was a good race. Let me know what you think in the comments. These are going to be more videos I want to put out just like this, where I'm just talking, no editing, very little production. I'm currently sitting at a 10-minute video right as we are speaking, or right as I'm finishing this over here on my other screen. So thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching. If you have any thoughts about this past weekend's race at Darlington, let me know. Drop them in the comments. I'll converse with you, and I want to talk about it to see what you thought about it and why you thought it was good or why you thought it was bad. And also, make sure to check out any of my social media channels for more short-form content, TikTok, Instagram, obviously YouTube Shorts and YouTube long form, but also Facebook as well, at the Motorsports Enthusiast. If you just look up the Motorsports Enthusiast on any social channel, you'll see this face with probably a yellow background. But either way, thank you for tuning in. Until next time, I'll see you on the next one. Close.